Hi, if you don't already know me, my name is Jeff. I just want to do a quick video the morning after the night before, as it were, to get some closure. To summarize where I'm coming from, I was born in California but grew up in Ireland. I still have family stateside, so I've always tried to hold on to my identity as an American. Well, I've also held on to my accent, so I guess I had to. It always comes up when I meet new people. After about 10 minutes of listening to me bang on, people generally go, "Where are you from?" As they can't quite make sense of how my twang matches the Irish phrases like "sure it's grand" or "divil a bit." When it comes to politics, I was something of a late bloomer. I would guess it was 9/11, the Iraq War, the West Wing, and finally the election of Barack Obama that cemented my interest. But that's the thing. Once you develop your political identity, you realize that calling it an interest doesn't really describe it. I mean, it's not like gardening or watching sport or keeping track of celebrities, although to hear some people talk, that's exactly what it is. No, it's not a topic you just happen to be interested in. It's more like an appreciation that it's a topic that everyone should be interested in. I mean, something you hear all the time is, "I know, I don't do politics. That's just for the political nerds." Well, for one thing, I don't think politics is even the right word for it. For me, what we're actually talking about is government. The word politics describes the debate over who gets to govern, and a lot of people are switched off when that debate turns aggressive, physically or verbally. And no matter what way you slice it, you can't really debate the fact that government is meant to be for everyone. And when you live in a proper functioning democracy, whether you do politics or not, everyone should have a chance to participate in deciding who gets to govern, not just by voting, but also by holding those who do get elected to account. That's not doing politics, that's participating in your community. Anyway, you can probably tell I'm recording this because of the results of the US elections. It shouldn't bother me as much as it does, especially since I don't even live there anymore. But like I said, I still feel a connection to my nation of birth, although that connection feels a lot weaker today than it did yesterday. My aversion towards Donald Trump wasn't always personal against him for what he did or said. Before he even decided to run, I firmly believed that business folk were not the right fit for the highest levels of government. I still do, in fact. That doesn't mean I'm anti business, not by a long stretch, but a country is not a company. It needs a leader who appreciates the citizenry as a whole rather than a CEO who's just trying to make this year's profit beat last year's. But then Trump came along in 2016 with all his baggage, and we all know he's proceeded to collect a whole lot more since. And ironically, it was the wider population's aversion to the political class that largely helped him into office both then and now. The best analogy I've heard over the years was America wanted to give Washington, D.C. a punch, and Trump was the fist. So, with so much distracting the American voters in between elections, much of it the aggressive fighting I mentioned earlier, when it came to choosing a president, they couldn't see the forest for the trees when it came to all the painfully obvious reasons why the man should never be near the White House. By the way, speaking of reasons not to vote for him, let me be clear that less than 24 hours after the polls closed, I am freely conceding that he has won the election fair and square, something we all know he wouldn't have done had the result gone the other way. Without going too much into the weeds, I blame both the Democrat Party leadership for missing an open goal for the second time and the US mainstream media for allowing Fox News and Sinclair Broadcasting to dictate their coverage, forcing them to call things 50-50 when some of them were barely 99-1. But once another 24 hours have gone by, I owe it to my family. I actually owe it to myself not to dwell on it too much. Do I feel betrayed? Probably. But rather than be down about it, I'd be better served by cutting out the doom scrolling and refocusing on my own life. Does this mean I should just ignore politics from now on? Of course not. If anything, I should get more engaged, especially locally, as there's more than likely going to be an election here in Ireland very soon. Unfortunately, the left here is so fractured, it's hard to know where to turn and who to trust. But I guess that just means I'll need to work harder in making my choices. Anyway, to those who have reached out and asked, am I all right this morning? I say thank you. And yes, at least I am after writing and recording this message. Sure, it'll be grand. Cheers.